Part 1. I, 35 years old men, have been married to my wife Melissa, 32 years old, for 6 years. We don't have kids, though we talked about it early on. Lately, she's been saying she's not sure it's the right time, and I didn't push her. I thought maybe it was just work stress or something hormonal. God, I was so naive. Anyway, Melissa works in marketing, and her company started asking employees to come into the office more often after remote work ended. It's about a 25-minute drive downtown, and we only have one car since I work from home. At first, I'd drop her off and pick her up, no problem. But then she said it was easier to just Uber so I wouldn't have to rearrange my schedule. I didn't think much of it. I mean, it made sense. Sometimes she left late, had client dinners, and didn't want me waiting around. But then the rides started happening more and more. Not just to work, she'd Uber to lunch with coworkers, to yoga, to appointments. She said she was just trying to be efficient. What stuck out to me, and should have been my first red flag, was how she kept referencing my usual driver, Daniel. At first, it was casual. Daniel's the one who picked me up again. Then, Daniel says there's a new Thai place downtown we should try. Then, Daniel was early again. I love how punctual he is. I asked once, jokingly, "You talk to this guy more than me?" She laughed, a little too hard, and said, "Oh please, he's just a driver." Chill, another red flag. I asked if she wanted me to start driving her again, but she snapped, "I'm not a child. I like having options. Why are you being weird about this?" So I dropped it, like an idiot. A couple of weeks ago, I noticed she had started dressing up more. New makeup, fresh nails every week, tight skirts, expensive perfume I didn't recognize. I asked where the money was coming from. We budget together. She said she was just treating herself, because she deserved it. That night, she came home late, like 1:30 a.m. late. I asked where she was. She said, "I told you I was going to drinks with Jessica from work. Why are you so paranoid lately?" Funny thing? Jessica posted on IG earlier that night, she was in Mexico on vacation. I didn't say anything, I just let it slide. Again, then I started checking her Uber receipts. Nothing showed up. She'd switched to paying in cash. Who the hell pays for Ubers in cash? And then last week, I overheard a call. She was in the bathroom, and her phone connected to the Bluetooth speaker in our bedroom. I wasn't trying to snoop, I was playing music. The speaker suddenly paused, then I heard her say, "You better be on time this time, babe. I don't want him getting suspicious." That was it. My stomach dropped. Part 2. After I overheard that Bluetooth call, her saying, "I don't want him getting suspicious," I didn't confront her right away. I wanted proof. Solid, undeniable, you can't lie your way out of this, proof. Because Melissa, and this is no exaggeration, lies like it's her mother tongue. And when you call her out, she goes full hysterical, like you're the problem. So I played dumb. For a week, I started doing some digging. I checked her Google Maps timeline. She turned off location sharing. I checked her email, clean, probably using another account. I checked Uber trip history on her phone when she left it in the kitchen once, nothing. She was covering her tracks meticulously, but what she forgot was the dashcam I'd installed in our car years ago. It backs up to the cloud, and though I hadn't driven her to work in months, she had borrowed the car last Thursday for a quick lunch with her sister. Out of curiosity, I checked the footage. Guess what? No lunch, no sister. Instead, she drove 10 minutes, parked near some apartments, and 15 minutes later, Daniel pulled up in a black Honda Civic. She got out, looked around like some sketchy teenager, and hopped into his backseat. They didn't drive off. They stayed parked for 38 minutes. The camera didn't pick up sound, but you can imagine. She came back looking flushed, adjusted her lipstick in the rearview, sprayed perfume. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, but still, I needed more. So I set a trap. The next day, she said she had to go to a late meeting at her office and wouldn't be back until after 9 p.m. I said, "No problem, babe." I kissed her cheek, smiled like a doormat, and waited 10 minutes after she left. Then I got in my car and followed the Uber on the app. She'd left her personal phone at home charging, another red flag. She never does that, but her iPad was still connected to our shared Find My. I tracked her to a quiet street near a park. Sure enough, Daniel's car was there again. Parked under a street lamp, I killed the headlights, parked behind a bush, and waited. About 15 minutes later, I saw shadows moving inside the car. Not just shadows, I saw her head pop up in the backseat, then his hand on the window. They were literally doing it in the back of his goddamn Uber. Something in me snapped. I floored it, pulled up behind them, got out, walked right up to the car and banged on the window like I was the damn police. The door swung open. She screamed, "What the F are you doing here?" She shrieked, trying to pull down her dress. Daniel looked like he wanted to melt into the seat. I just said, "Enjoy the ride?" She started crying. "It's not what it looks like." I laughed so hard I nearly doubled over. "Really? I said, "'Cause it looks like my wife's getting railed by her personal Uber driver in the back of his car like a cheap motel." She jumped out, started sobbing, yelling, "You shouldn't have followed me. You're crazy. This is why I needed space. This is my fault now." I didn't even answer. I just turned around and left. She came home an hour later, screaming at me. Said I violated her privacy, stalked her, and that I twisted everything. She swears they're just close friends who made a mistake. I didn't say a word, but the next morning, I booked an appointment with a divorce lawyer. She has no idea. Part 3. Okay, so quick recap. I caught my wife, Melissa, literally having sex with her Uber driver, Daniel, in the back of his car. She screamed, cried, blamed me, gaslit the hell out of the situation, standard cheater behavior. I didn't argue, I just left, and the next morning, I booked a meeting with a divorce lawyer. You'd think that was rock bottom. You'd be wrong. After I caught her, she acted like nothing happened the next day. Literally nothing. Came downstairs in her robe, made coffee, asked if I wanted pancakes. I looked at her like she had 3 heads. I didn't say a word, just told her, "We'll talk later." She pouted and said, "Fine. Be passive-aggressive, that's real mature." Later that night, I sat her down and said, calmly, "I've spoken with a divorce lawyer." She exploded, screaming, crying, throwing pillows at me, accusing me of giving up too easily. She screamed, "It was just one time. Lie, I have timestamps, receipts, and dashcam footage." Then she said, and I quote, "I only did it because you've been so distant lately. You don't even touch me anymore." Distant? I've been breaking my back keeping this relationship alive while she was busy banging her Uber driver like it was a loyalty program. Then the crazy part, she demanded counseling, started talking about healing together, how she's traumatized by what I did by ambushing her and spying. I told her I wasn't interested in saving a marriage built on lies and betrayal. She got real quiet, then she asked, dead serious, "Can we at least delay the divorce a few months so I can stay on your health insurance?" I kid you not. Turns out she's been seeing a wellness therapist who doesn't take private pay and needs my insurance. Of course, she framed it as not just for me, for both of us. "You need help, too." At this point, I laughed in her face. I asked her if Daniel was going to chip in for the co-pays. She stormed out of the house. I thought maybe she'd cool off and come back with some sort of apology. Nope. Instead, I got a text 3 hours later that just said, "You're a heartless bastard. I'm staying with Daniel tonight. Don't wait up." Fast forward to the next day, I go to start gathering my documents for the lawyer. Tax info, property records, joint account data. She beat me to it. Bank account, emptied. My name was removed from one of our joint credit cards. She even tried to lock me out of our shared email by changing the password. I confronted her again. She claimed it was just temporary, that she didn't feel safe financially, because she doesn't know what I'm capable of. I'm not violent, never have been, never raised my voice in 6 years of marriage, but suddenly I'm dangerous. Here's the twist. I dug a little deeper, and guess what? Daniel, her Uber lover, has a criminal record. Part 4. Alright, strap in, because part 4 is where this mess goes from bad. So, like I said last time, after she ran off to stay with Daniel, Uber boy, she locked me out of our accounts, emptied our joint savings, and claimed she was scared of what I might do. Classic projection, considering she's the one who cheated. Now, I said I found something on Daniel. Turns out, this guy has a record. Not a little DUI or parking ticket, no. I mean felony level. Back in 2018, he was arrested for identity theft and credit card fraud. He took a plea deal, served 18 months, and got out with probation. I only found this by doing a deep dive background check. I paid for one of those reports and, wow. This guy is bad news. So now I'm thinking, Melissa, my wife, who is bleeding our accounts dry, suddenly obsessed with privacy, gaslighting me daily, is shacking up with a career scammer. And she's giving him access to all our personal info. She's logged into our accounts on her devices, our mortgage is in both our names, and she knows all my passwords. I immediately froze my credit, changed every password I could, called my bank and flagged all recent activity, locked down my identity with a fraud alert. And here's the kicker. When I mentioned this to her, calmly, mind you, she flipped the script again. "Oh my God, you're seriously stalking Daniel now? You're obsessed. This is why I left. You're controlling and paranoid." I told her I knew about Daniel's criminal past. Her face went pale for a second, just a second, and then she said, "That's none of your business. He's a good man now. At least he listens to me." At this point, I stopped trying to reason with her. I told her, "You picked a liar and a thief over your husband. I'm done." And I really meant it this time. I filed the divorce paperwork that same day. Didn't wait for the lawyer to do it all. I needed this started ASAP. She still doesn't know it's already in motion. Now here's where it gets insane. Yesterday morning, I got a call from my neighbor while I was out getting coffee. He says, "Hey man, everything okay over there? There's some guy trying to get into your house. Says he's your wife's fiancé?" Fiancé, not boyfriend, not friend, fiancé. My jaw hit the floor. I raced home, and sure enough, Daniel was at my front door with a duffel bag, trying to get in. I confronted him on the porch. I said, "You're not welcome here. You're trespassing. Leave now." He just shrugged and said, "She told me to come by and pick up some stuff. We're moving in together once the divorce is done. She said you'd be cool about it." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe the delusion. I told him to get off my property before I call the cops. He tried to puff up his chest, but I wasn't playing. I pulled out my phone and started dialing 911. He backed off real quick. He left, for now. But I filed a restraining order today. Against both of them, and I'm not done. I just found something on Melissa that'll completely destroy her reputation: screenshots, texts, and photos. She was way dumber than she thought when it came to hiding things. Let's just say, there's a whole second affair she doesn't know I know about. Yep, part 5 will be the finale. And she won't see it coming. Final part. This is it, the finale. Buckle up. So, last we left off, my wife Melissa cheated on me with an Uber driver named Daniel, who also happens to be a felon. After catching them in the act in his backseat, she tried to gaslight me, emptied our accounts, and ran off to play house with the dude. Then Daniel tried to move into my house, claiming he was her fiancé. I filed for divorce and got a restraining order. But that wasn't the end. Because what Melissa didn't know is, I had everything, and not just about Daniel. While gathering evidence for the divorce attorney, I discovered Melissa had been cheating with another guy, before Daniel. This one wasn't a driver. He was a client of hers. Wealthy, married, kids, found explicit messages on an old iPad she forgot to factory reset. Dumb mistake. Their messages were disgusting. They'd been meeting up for months before Daniel even came into the picture. So what was Daniel? Her rebound? A plaything? A new wallet now that sugar daddy dumped her? She once texted the client, "My husband is so clueless. I could be screwing someone in the driveway and he'd offer them coffee." Well, she got half of that right. So I made a plan. I printed everything: screenshots, email logs, GPS timelines. I even had dashcam footage. My lawyer called it a goldmine for a clean divorce. Then I took it a step further. Melissa still didn't know the divorce was moving forward. She thought I was still processing. So I invited her to dinner. Yes, I baited her. Told her I wanted to talk calmly, maybe discuss therapy or next steps. She showed up all dolled up, smirking like she'd won. I played nice, let her ramble about growth and how Daniel makes her feel alive. Then I slid a manila envelope across the table. Her face went white. She opened it. Every page was a receipt of betrayal. The texts, the photos, even a printed screenshot of her saying she'd marry the client if he'd leave his wife. She screamed at me, loud enough to make people stare. Called me a creep, a stalker, and a psycho. I just smiled and said, "Don't worry, I've already sent copies to your job's HR and his wife." That shut her up. She stormed out of the restaurant. I haven't seen her since. Then it all fell apart for her, fast. Her job fired her a week later after receiving anonymous emails with screenshots of her inappropriate client relationship. Her sugar daddy ghosted her the second his wife found out. Daniel? Word on the street is he's back to driving nights and couch hopping. She tried living with him, lasted 4 days. He stole her MacBook. Now she's texting me again. Pathetic stuff like, "I messed up. Can we talk? I never stopped loving you. I wasn't myself. I think I'm depressed." No, not anymore. The divorce is almost finalized. I kept the house, froze all joint accounts before she could touch retirement. Even kept my dog. She tried to claim him too. And I've never slept better. Moral of the story? If your wife starts taking a lot of Ubers, check the backseat. Thanks for following the ride, Reddit. I'm out.